What's up, YouTube fam? Back again. You must love it here. Anyway, I'm on to part 16 now, and we're actually seeing some progress with the bikes this week. One of them's almost done, thank goodness. And the other one, I have started in the rebuild, and I'm kind of getting there. There's still a long way to go, but we're getting there slowly but surely. This episode covers a load of stuff from the usual painting, that's a given pretty much every episode. Doing the rear shock into the Bandit 6. What else did I do? Fitted carbs, clean carbs, fannying about with master cylinders for the rear that were C solid. Ended up actually buying another one. I couldn't save it. What else have I been doing? Loads of stuff. Watch the video, get yourself a cup of tea, have a seat, sit down, relax and enjoy. Welcome back. Today we're taking the swinging arm out of this 600 to change the shock. We're getting rid of the old pogo stick, which is sitting there. Got my chain slider, so don't forget it. Clever boy. But there's a little minor issue, shall we say. I'll show you. Right. If you look up here, you'll see the top shock mount. And then you'll see the under tray, which is sitting about here. We need to trim some of that under tray out for the shock reservoir to clear. That's the bottom mount. You can see how wild this is. I don't think it's been properly cleaned for a good long while, but never mind. It's an old bike, I suppose. So my next trick, I'm going to get the grinder out and grind some of this away so that this part of the shock, part at the top, this bit here, whatever it may be, there it is, this bit here will clear because that sits like that obviously. So we're just going to cut out as much as we need. We're not going to go mental taking great chunks out of it. Just going to cut out as much as we need up there. Shouldn't be too much. So I'll get the grinder out, and what I'll do is I'll try and mark it up first and just take a little bit at a time so that I don't take too much out. I just want enough for it to clear really, because I don't want all the water from the back wheel spraying up onto the reservoir and the shock and whatnot. But obviously the reservoir is going to be exposed anyway, because it needs to be to clear this thing. So I'll take a wee tickle out of here for a start. I'll put the shock up against it and then just mark around the reservoir, see how much needs to come out, and then we'll do that. Alrighty. As you can see, I've cut a chunk out to clear the shock. It does clear the shock boost. I've also remembered to put the old chain slider on for a change. And what I'll do is I'll put the swinging arm in, then I'll put the shock in. In fact, I'll maybe put the shock in first, hang it off the top mount and slide it through the centre of the swinging arm. That'll make life easier. As you can see, I've hung it off the top mount and the bottom mount's not quite meeting the linkage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chamfer a little bit off the corner of the bottom steel to make it fit. It's the same as my other Bandit was, I had to do the same with it. But it's not too much of a hardship. It's better to find out now than once the swinging arm's in, isn't it? So we'll do that just now, get the grinder out, give it a quick grind at 45 degrees. I'll mark it whilst it's in situ there, which part I need to take a bit out of. Because you don't want to take off more than you actually need to, Off the bottom of the shock, that is. The top shock's just temporarily get a bolt through it to hold it in place. At the bottom, as you can see, there's no way you're getting a bolt through there, buddy. Not a hope. And that's it. It's hard up, as far forward as it goes. And there is no way This one really is crap. I need to get someone that focuses is half decent. But like I say, I'll give it a quick grind with the grindy, and then we'll try it again before we put the swinging arm in. So we've ground the shock. That's as much as I've taken off. I accidentally hit the spring. My bad. And you can see it's at about a 45-degree angle as you look side on. So what I'll do is I'll try it in place first. And if it needs a little tickle more, then I'll take a little tickle more, but it should be okay at that, hopefully, he says. But we'll have a look and see. Another thing I just about forgot was the spacers between the tie rods and this part, because you need your tie rods further apart to clear the sides of the shock spring when it goes up and down through the hole. You'll end up catching the spring on these rods and it'll be a disaster. So this is well remembered. So I'm going inside, I've got another bolt, and I've also got some washers kicking about. I'm not sure where they are, but I'll find them and I'll be back and I'll put them on properly. Right, I've fitted the washers, should I say. I put 2 on each side, my other Bandit, but I think it's too much, like, to be honest. That's just the one, and you can see there's plenty of room there for the spring to pass by it, you know. It's probably a good 5mm maybe. So that'll do it. We'll just use the one in this one's, and that'll be plenty. I'll also put one at the other ends, one each in the other ends as well, obviously. We'll get that fitted. If you ever find yourself doing this, you'll notice that you need longer bolts with the shock, because it's wider at the bottom here. If you use the standard one, which is where here, you would struggle to get the bolt on it, you know. You'd get most of the bolt on it, most of the nut on it, but that's too risky for me. Like, I'm using Nylox, they're M10s, and the only bolt I had that was the right length was this one here, so we're just using it. That'll do it. Same for the top, you'll need longer ones for the top as well because it's wider. Right, so I finally got it in. Nice new sprocket on there, 530. Spindle's tightened up, torque arm's tightened up, all the shock bolts and the mountings are tidied up. You can just catch a glimpse of the yellowness in there. See if it's any better from this side. No, it's a bit bloody dark. There we go, there's a shock. So it's finally fitted. What an absolute see you next Tuesday of a job that was. Honest to God. I chamfered the shock bottom a bit more than I actually needed to, and it still wouldn't go in, so I ended up getting a nail bar on it to force it forwards. I thought it was maybe the spring was maybe hitting the front of the swing arm, but it's nae, so I don't know what the hell the story was, but anyway, it's in now, thankfully. So we now get a back end. I cleaned up the wheel as well, got rid of all that overspray off it. I mean, it's nae a great nick paint wise wheel anyway, but it looks a lot better now than it did with half a ton of overspray on it. So I'm just going to stick a metal sheet over the top of here, and that way, if it does decide to piss rain tonight, at least my baby won't get wet. So I'll leave it at that for today. Next job's bodywork, and well, chain sprockets obviously, bodywork, headlights, etc. And then we'll be ready to take it for a run. Yahoo! And this is why you should always finish one bike at a time. I was thinking for some bizarre reason that Bandit 6 I was converting to 525. I'm not. That's for the flipping Skull one because it's got the Triumph wheel. I'm such a twat sometimes, it's unreal. And I've got a gsxr 600 sprocket which is 525. I've got the 525 chain, and the sprocket that's on the wheel is a 525 as well, so that should all marry up quite nicely. 530 on the 600 Bandit, so that was the sprocket for it, just a cheapo. I say cheapo, it's all 26 quid. And I've got a couple of 530 chains here in my stash, So I'll use one of them, and that'll be that. But yeah, it's easily confused when you're an idiot like me, trying to put the wrong things in the wrong bikes. It's not a good thing. My other metal flake arrived as well. I'll show you that. This is a gay blue one that I don't like, and this is the one that I do like, from my Busa, obviously. So I'm going to put that in the Busa. I'm going to fade it from that to that, at the front to the back, and I'm going to add some of the holographic there, and I'm not going to bother using this chrome one, I don't think. So that's the plan for the Busa. I might fade it, we'll see how much of a dog of a job it's going to be, and then take it from there. I still haven't painted that mudguard. I should have done that today because it was a decent day, but I just wanted to get the back end onto that 600. So now it's on, I'll get these lights fitted and get some bodywork thrown at it. So today we're fitting the K&Ns onto the gsxr carbs, not Bandit carbs, gsxr carbs. These have been dynajetted to stage 3 with 144 main jets in them. The needle's on clip 3 or 4, I think. And the air screws are 2.5 turns out. I've replaced the screws in the bottom Allen heads because the normal cheese heads are just rubbish. You'll round them off just by undoing them. But I'd almost forgotten what a pain in the hole getting these things on was. So what you have to do is take this metal band off. You need to slacken them, obviously, and put the rubbers on, and then put the clips on afterwards. But I've got one side on, as you can see. They're fully home. That side gets lightly crushed. What I would suggest you do is you use a pick, so that when you get the filters on at one end, you can put the pick underneath the rubber and just like pull it round, if you like, and that'll like pull it onto the carb body while you're pushing it as well. It's a bit of a faff, but it's doable. It's just a pest. It's one of those pest jobs you get. But my plan is not to put these in the Bandit. These are going onto my Bandit Engine Z, and I'm taking the carbs off the Bandit Engine Z, and I'm going to fit a stage 3 Dynajet kit to them and put them on my Skull Z, if that makes sense. The reason I'm doing that is the carbs that are on my Z are Bandit carbs. I didn't put a Dynajet kit in them because I just decided I would try and sort out the jetting from the main jets and the pilots and the air screw and all the rest of it. And I've got it pretty close, but it's still not right, if you know what I mean. So if I stick the Dynajetted ones in, it will be right and it'll work. So that's what I'm going to do, because previous experience, I've never had any issues with Dynajet kitted carbs. They've just gone on and they've just worked without having to fanny about with them. That was in gsxr engines, mind you. I think the Bandit carbs are slightly different, not by a huge amount, but enough to make it tricky. So I'm going to put the gsxr carbs, which I know work, onto the Z, and I'll take the Bandit carbs off the Z and put them onto the Bandit. But like I say, I'll fit a Dynajet kit to the Bandit carbs. God, I'm confusing myself here. But anyway, that's the plan. So I'm going to get this other filter on. I'll take the clips off, loosen the clips up, take them off. And if you have trouble with old K&Ns, which I've also got another pair of, what you do is stick them into this foul-smelling wintergreen oil and isopropyl, and it'll soften up the rubbers. I've just covered it enough at the bottom just to cover the rubbers, and I'll leave it like that for a day, and when I come back they'll be as soft as you like. And then I'll fit them onto my other gsxr carbs, and that'll be one less job to do for it as well. The other gsxr carbs are for my EFE, so that's what these are going on. These are the old filters off my gsxr or something or other, I can't remember. Too many bikes, but anyway, I'll leave these to soak for 24 hours. I've left the clips off, obviously, and that'll soften up the rubber nicely, and they'll just glide on effortlessly. And another quick one for you is you see the bar down the bottom there between those two filters? It's part of this bar here. Yeah. What to do is to get a long zip tie, put the zip tie around the bar, then round your filters, and zip tie it at the bottom, preferably so it's out of sight, and then it'll just stop your filters from going anywhere. Not that they're going to anywhere, they're tightened up here, but in case you had a backfire or something and it tried to blow them off, they wouldn't be able to get off. So stick a zip tie on there as well. Same with the other one. Just the one in the middle is enough to hold them in place. And it also helps because the worst thing possible is when you're putting these into the bike and you're trying to get them on and your bloody filters come off and you have to put them back on again whilst it's on the bike. It's a nightmare. Okay, so just a quick tip there. So I'm just building up the footrests again today. This is all stuff that I've painted, obviously. When you're doing these, put a new circlip on, a new split pin in. Circlip, what am I talking about? Put a new split pin in. Don't reuse the old one because it'll be weakened from when it's been bent, yeah. Quite simple, really. These locate into these tabs here. This is the 3 mounting bolts that fit to the frame. And as you look at it there, you can see the bits where the metal that's been porous has made a few spots appear all over my clear coat. I did these 2 or 3 times, and every time it came out the same, so I can only presume that it's the aluminium that's porous. I even tried filling it in between, skimming the whole lot with filler, but I don't know. I'm not that bothered about it. It's only footrests. If anybody's looking that closely at it, well, you can get a slap around the head for it. But anyway, I do like things to be right. But it's a nice colour. I mean, they're covered in dust and crap just now, but it has got a bit of metallic in it. This is the Mercedes Obsidian. You'll probably not see it there. Get more dust on them than anything. But it's quite a nice black. Just a shame about those flipping spots on them. That's a bit annoying. I might get a decent set of rear sets at a later stage. I don't know. Probably won't bother, to be honest, but I'm not that fussed, But so I'm just doing little jobs today because it's crap outside. I've got my carbs on. Well, I've got my filters on, should I say. That's no, that's not them. That's them sitting up there. So they're all tightened up nicely. I need to go and get some 400mm zip ties to tie on the filters to the body of the carbs. So I'm just putting stuff together today. I'll venture out into the flipping wilds and get some split pins out the garage. I need some brakes for my yellow Bandit. So I've dug into my box of many brake things and I found 2 sets of Nissans sitting there. One will be used in my EFE, one will be used on the Pistols bike. So I'm just going to pick out the best set. These ones look pretty good. The pistons are all fairly clean. Saying that, there's a few bits of crap on there. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe I won't use that set. Like the other side. It's clean. But if you look at that one, so you can see there's corrosion in those pistons there. A little bit there. I think that's just dirt. But I'll stick my nail over it. But I don't think I'll use these because there's rust on them. Like I say, they have been sitting around for years. I've got this other set too. What are they like? They look not too bad. To be fair, the pistons on them look alright. Yeah, I think we have a winner. Jeffrey. What like are they? They look okay. Perfect. Right, I'll push these pistons in, if they will push in. Hopefully they should just slide in and the seals aren't sticky. But yeah, as you can see, they've been sitting about for a while. few rusty bits in the bolts I'm not particularly bothered about. Obviously I'll change out this bleed nipple because it's looks like it's been living in a canal. But I don't have bolts long enough to replace these with. I've checked. So they're just going to stay. Fuck it. And I've also got my box of shims. I've got an old set of brake pads. Oh, I say an old set of brake pads. They're not that bad. I'm going to reuse them because there's still plenty of meat in them. Yeah. Well, I'll do a good few thousand miles yet. I do have a new set, but I might fit the new set. We'll see. All the shims and spacers and clips and whatnot are in there. So I'm going to keep these ones. They can go back in the box for another couple of years. I've got a new set of pads I've tried to use in there. These gold friend things. Never used them before. I usually use EBC double H's. But I'm skint. So I bought these instead because they were cheaper. But we'll see what light they are, I guess. But the pads that are in there, they'll be EBCs. I'm pretty certain. So I might just end up using the EBCs and sacking off the new ones for a later date or putting them in these calipers for the EFE. But I'll have to get pistons for them, I suspect, because these ones look a bit grotty. Anyway, I'll strip this down and stick the brake pads and everything else in it and I'll come back to you. Okay, so it turns out the pistons are a bit sticky. I've got one side in okay, but the other side aren't as keen as cooperating. I don't have anything to lever off to try and push them in, so I'm just going to split the calipers and push them in. And there's calipers in two halves. There's 4 bolts in the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take them out. And there's also a rubber washer, a rubber O-ring, should I say. It goes between the two halves. It's up this end here. So just watch out for that when you split them. You don't want to lose it. Check the condition of it though. It needs to be intact or it'll leak. Okay, so I'm going to take these bolts out. These 4 bolts out, split the caliper, and then I'm going to push these pistons back in. You should theoretically be able to push them in with your fingers, but I've got arthritis and my hands are a bit weak, so those days are gone, I'm afraid. This is the rubber I was telling you about. It's between the 2 caliper halves. If you look in here, see all that white stuff? That's all corrosion. And this is what came out the calipers. It's not dandruff. It's just like corrosion in the bolts from the alloy. And I'm going to have to give these a good clean down with a Scotch pad. And I'll either use some grease or some WD-40 or something just to lubricate them up a little bit when they go in. I'll probably stick a little bit of red grease in the end of them, the end of the bolts, just to stop them from corroding from within. Because you can look at the state of that. That's pretty wild, isn't it? All that white stuff there. You need to get rid of that. I should really tap out the holes. But my M8 tap is broken. I need a new one and I haven't bothered ordering it. So I'll clean up these bolts, stick them back together. I managed to push the pistons down quite easily when they're in 2 halves. I just leaned on them, you know. So all the pistons are back now, and they look reasonably good condition. Inside the caliper, I'm pretty sure I had this apart before to clean all this crap out. I never painted them though, I just cleaned it up. I mean the outside of them could probably do with a paint, but they'll do for the old Sex Pistols bike. And like I say, I'll stick these back in, put them all back together, put the pads in and all the rest of it, and then we'll stick them on the bike. When I'm putting brake pads in, I always put the lightest of smears of copper slip in the back of the pads. Stops it sticking to the pistons. Not that it should generally stick to the pistons, but you know, I guess it's just a little bit of insurance. Okay, I'm also going to put this spring clip in a minute, like so, and I'll put the other pad in, we'll be done brake. I also put a spot of copper grease in the back of the pin stop it from rusting and sticking, and then you'll never get it out. Same with the thread of the pin. I put a tiny little bit in the thread of the pin just to lubricate it as it goes into the thread. I'm sure there's probably folk out there saying, you shouldn't be putting copper slip anywhere near your brakes. Yeah, well, I've been doing it for years and there's no harm done, so I'll just continue doing it until there is some harm done. Just make sure your pads are right back so you get enough room for your disc to go down the middle. These pads are quite thick, I suppose they would be if they're new, but you have to have the pistons right back into the caliper bodies basically to get enough clearance for the disc. It was the same deal on the other side of the caliper, so I've cleaned these up in the buffing wheel, which is just behind me in the kitchen. That one there. What do you mean you don't have a buffing wheel in your kitchen? Bloody amateurs. And I'll grease them up and stick them back too, then we'll have another caliper done. First one's finished, obviously, sitting over there, just need to replace the bleed nipple. Trying to resolve my Bandit 6 throttle issue. This is off a TL1000S, but I was just looking at the widening colours on the connector. The connector looks the same, but the colours are all different. Pretty much that orange one's the only one that's the same. So I don't think it's usable. Although it's got the same functions, you know, on and off with the headlight and the starter. But what I might do is I might just plug it in, see if it's going to work. Or I might just take this throttle tube out, see if it's actually a throttle tube, because I mean, that's what it's meant to do. So we'll see what we do. Okay, welcome back to part 2. Join me as I'm redoing some paintwork here on a mudguard. We've already done through the prep stages in part 1, so this is going to be a spraying stage. And I've got my spray gun here set up. I've got a water trap over there that I've just emptied. I've got the gauge in my gun. As you can see, it's set to just over 2 bar, 2.5 bar, and we're going to paint this. I'm going to describe how we're going to paint it because I can't really film it and paint it at the same time. We've set our fan up to about 6 inches. Let me just show you that. This is my test board. Yep, 6-inch fan, 6 inches away, so we're set to rock and roll. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do around all the edges first. This will be the fan pattern, all the way around the edges of the mudguard, go right the way around it, and then I'll start from the edge, do this edge, take a pass or 2 down here, and then the other edge, take a pass or 2 down there. That way you make sure you've got your edges covered and like up to this first part, okay? And then after that what I'll do is I'll turn the mudguard side on so that we're facing it like this, and I'll use the gun and we'll do probably about 4 passes with a 50% overlap on each pass, yeah? And then I'll usually give it another quick squirt at both ends just to make sure your edges have got plenty on them, and that should do it. I'm also doing this fuel cap for my Bandit, it's round the corner. So that's the story. Like I say, we've got the thing set up, it's about 2.2 bar and a 6-inch pattern, 6 inches away from the board. So I'm just going to hit this now and I'll come back once it's done. Okay, so that's it done now. As you can see, it's got a decent sheen in it. However, it is a 2-pack paint, so I need to clear coat it afterwards. I'm also going to put some graphics on it. But that's it, painted. Same with the fuel cap. Now what I do when I've got various types of paint here. Most of it's 2-pack, which is a base coat and a clear coat. Now you can get base coat raw, which you have to add thinners to, or you can get ready for use. This is a base coat raw that I bought, but I mixed it up to the special colour, and you can see in the top we've got RFU in it. That means ready for use, so I don't need to add any more thinners into that because it's already been thinned down. It's just a reminder, because like I've got quite a few tins of paint lying about, and you'd struggle to remember if your stuff was pre-mixed or not. I don't normally pre-mix it, but I pre-mixed this because I needed a lot for my complete body kit, if you like. So what I'll do now is I'll empty what's left in the gun back in the tin, and I'll clean it out with this thinners. And then once I've cleaned it all out with thinners, take the gun to bits, clean the cap, take the cap off and all the rest of it. Take everything out, the needle out, clean everything. And then once you put it back together, put some fresh, clean thinners through the gun, spray it outside, and then when you're spraying, stick your finger over the end where the needle is there, and you'll get back pressure, and it'll back pressure it up through your cup, and you'll see bits of thinner coming out the top, and that's just cleaning out the inside part of the gun. This part between here, between the end and the needle, if you like, this part here, it'll clean all that. But it should be clean anyway because you'll have cleaned it when you took it apart to clean it, which I'm away to do. And then once you've done that, just stick it back in the rack with other guns, and you're good to go for the next time. I usually leave a tiny little bit of thinners in it, and then just before I put new paint in, I'll empty the thinners that's in the gun into the cup. Okay. And another quick tip: when you're cleaning the gun out, right, I've emptied that yellow back into the tin. Now, rather than use thinners to clean all this out, what I do is I get a bit of old rag, which I have here, and I'll clean 90% of that yellow out of the cup, and that way you don't need to use so much thinners because I'm tight. Okay. Right, so it's been pissing down rain for the last few days. It's forecast to be pissing down for another few days, so I've done what any sane, sensible person would do, and I've taken the bike inside to join the rest of the family. Harry Harris over there and Jimmy gsxr. Anyway, I'm just talking shite now. But yeah, at least I'll be able to get some stuff done because, like I say, it's just continually fucking raining up here just now. So I'll get done what I can. Once the weather dries up, I'll pull it back outside. I've got some plugs for the end of these frame rails just to tidy them up. And I need to make up a bracket from here for the front of the seat, like a U bracket or something along that lines. I'll need to measure it up and whatnot. But first off, I'm going to stick the carbs in. Then I'm going to stick the exhaust on, see what it looks like. Stick the brake calipers on. That's today's entertainment. On my way to fit the carbs, I've taken the bungs out obviously, and I've taken the clips off. I find it easier to put them on after. What I'm doing just now is I'm just checking that this cable, this is the throttle cable, it should sit about here. I've no idea what it's off, but it's aftermarket, and I was just checking that it's going to fit to the bars, which it looks like it is, you know, going around the front of the fork leg. It looks like it's going to fit quite nicely, so we'll just fit it, because it's a lot easier to fit this to the carbs, this end here, to the carbs before you fit the carbs. Trying to do it afterwards is an absolute bloody nightmare. So I'm just going to fit that up to the carbs that I'll put the filters onto. Then we'll get them carbs slotted in there. So we've got the carbs onto their rubbers. I haven't got the band things on, the clips to hold them in place. But they're quite tight there. Plenty of room at the back of the frame there as well. Also stuck the brakes on. So we're making a little bit of progress, I guess. More than I would be outside with the pissing rain, so that can only be a good thing. I'll maybe stick the coils on while I'm at it, and the plug leads. So this is a problem I have with the side stand springs. As you can see, they're about 1 inch too long. Even when it's fully up, they're way too long. I don't know what they're off, but certainly they're marked on Bandit. So I better go and have a look for some fucking side stand springs, I suppose. Right, I'm actually building up the school bike, but I'm out here to take a note of the wiring loom route. See where it's fixed. I'm just filming it so that I don't forget. you know, see where it's meant to be going and see where it actually does go. So most of it comes up around here, I believe. Some of it comes around the front. This part here is where it splits off in the centre tube. What we got coming through the left side, that is the clutch cable, which I won't need to worry about because I don't have a clutch. And the other one there, that is the choke, which I also don't have a choke. It's at the carbs on this bike. So I'll tuck them back in there. This side, obviously we've got throttle cables coming around this side here as well. That's most of the frontal loom, if you like, coming out there. Yeah, that gives me an idea at least. So down the right hand side, splits off down the left and continues on for the back lights down the right. Okie dokie, let's go and make it happen. So for putting the wiring on, what I like to do is put switch gear on first, and I put everything on loose, and then I'll figure out the routing of all the cables, etc. Later on, once it's all in place, yeah, you can sort of manipulate it about. I find it easier to do it that way personally. You do you, and I'll do me, and it'll both work, I'm sure. So I'm going to stick the main part of the loom on, this part here. That's the front of the bike, that's the back of the bike. I'll stick it in place and see what it looks like. Right, I've zip tied it up here and here. In the meantime, these are the coil wires, so they need to go round about here. The two coils mount off of these points here, and the other side's in here. But the terminals are in the middle, so that'll be fine for that. They'll work out alright with that. What I didn't bank on was this bloody thing here. This is the TPS for the carbs on a Bandit. I'm not using Bandit carbs, I'm using gsxr carbs. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Maybe just tape it up out the way or something. I don't think I could cut it back without it fucking something up along the way. Throttle cable's in. I need a T-piece for this fuel pipe. It's obviously different than the gsxr to the Bandit. The Bandit's just a single fuel hose down to the carbs. These are twin. At the back here, this is the general kind of route of it. I've got a plate that's going in here. It's the amount between, see that hole there? And that hole there, there's going to be a 2mm plate going up both sides. Battery box is going to sit in the middle there. Then I'm hoping to get like my CDI and all this guff hidden in this hole, if you like, but I really need to get my battery box made before I can see where all this is going to go, see how much room I've got for it. And obviously that's like the tail lights and the backlight indicators, what have you. So we're getting there one step at a time. What's that? That's the battery lead. That is, I have no idea. I think that's off possibly the back brake switch or something like that. Yeah, can't think of what else it would be. Something along that lines anyway. And most of it's down here. Like I say, we've got the CDI, starter, relay, all this crap here. I need to find a home for. Fuse box. So I don't know how I'm going to do that without. I might have to end up chopping it back and all sorts to make it fit, you know. Because normally in the Bandit, these bits are round, stuck in the side and the outside. It looks bloody hideous. I'm not doing that because I want. You'll obviously see these tubes. So what I might do is I might bend a bit of stainless up to hide the back of this in here, and hopefully hide everything in there with the battery. If it doesn't fit in there, if it's long enough for the CDI to come up the back here, stick it in there, you know. But I hate wiring. This is the worst part of the build for me, electrics. I absolutely despise electrics. But it has to be done. So I'll maybe stick a few more bits and pieces on. I've got the footrests built up, so probably stick them on. Maybe stick that covers on the Oh no, I can't fit them because I've still to tighten everything up. And I've also got engine bolts I need to put in for the engine mounts for the bottom and the front. That's probably a bit more important than sticking footrests on, to be honest. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Right, so that's about as far as I can go for now with the wiring. I've loosely zip tied it in place where it will be going, hopefully. You know, these are still slack, so it'll be easier to come off if they need to come off, you know. There's a few bits and pieces. I'm not quite sure where they go yet, but I've got a manual, so I've left the bulk of it just up here. You know, the CDI and the flipping fuse box and all the rest of it. Because like I said, I need to wait until I get my battery box built before I can see where they're going. So I'm guessing the battery box is going to have to hang down a bit. I want to keep it as close to this as I can at the front. You know, I should have, with hindsight, I should have put that right back to where the tube is, but hindsight's marvellous, isn't it? Hindsight's 2020, as I say. This side's got all the tail light stuff, brake light, indicators, whatnot. And like I say, the rest of it, like starter relay and battery guff, it's all back there, so I'll have to make sure it's going to reach the battery, because I don't really want to be extending these if I don't have to, you know. So I'll probably go over here somewhere, down towards the battery, and that one goes to the engine, I believe. We'll see, but that'll be later on in the build. So that's about as much as I can do for today. I'm going to stick some of these engine mounts on, hopefully, if they'll decide to thread today, which they weren't the other day. But I've not done not too bad, I guess. A little bit of progress, small progress. I'll maybe stick the coils on as well if I can find them. And I can find the bolts that fit them. Also bought these grips, but they're a bit fucking wild in the colour streaks, eh? I don't know if I'll fit them or not. I've got a set of Renthal ones as well. But yeah, I suppose you'd have to see it all together, really, see just how wild it is. But like I say, I'd like to get the wheels painted at some point, maybe a colour similar, just to make them stand out, you know. But that's later down the line. I've no money for that just now. I bought a Chinese lock set off, I can't remember where it was, Amazon or eBay or something along that lines. So I'm going to fit that today. It's actually not too bad. I know the ignitions don't work because there's no resistor in them before you all say, but the rest of it's not that bad quality, to be honest. I don't think it's any worse than stuff Suzuki fit. And I'm going to try and utilise this for my seat lock, my Ducati seat unit, and I'm going to hopefully mount it underneath the frame rail at the back. I know it's going to get sprayed with shit and water and all the rest of it, but I won't be using it that much. It's got the part in there for a seat lock. It's also got a helmet lock in it. I know they're crap and somebody would steal your helmet in about 5 seconds flat with it, but it would still be quite handy to stick my helmet in there whilst I'm at bike meets and things. And the cable would be quite handy to save me putting my hand underneath and trying to feel about for the other end of the cable. But I've still to get a cable, so I need to get a short cable. Any suggestions, gratefully appreciated. I'm looking for something that's probably about 6 inches long. You know, that would be more than enough, because where I'm putting it, it would that's how much cable I need, and I don't want to be looping it all around to use up cable. So that's next in the agenda is to stick this into the tank. I know it should be done last, but it gets it out of the box of spares, you know. I'm just trying to use up all the stuff I've got. It'll make me feel like I'm getting somewhere. So that's the next one on the agenda. That's the headlight on. It just slides over the forked junctions. I have to take the top yoke off. Should really put them on before I put the top yoke on, to be honest. So next up we've got the ignition. It needs to go on. And then the clocks, they need to go on. So I'm just doing what I can, since the weather's crap outside, to get it a bit further forward, you know. So, like I say, I'll have to take this headlight off again to put all the wiring in the back of it, hide it out the way. My brake lines are sitting there as well, ready to go. I need some levers for my master cylinders. The master cylinders are in the Hayabusa box of bits. So anyway, I'll find the ignition for it, stick that on, and then I'll stick these clocks on. Nice stainless bolts all around, just finishes it off nicely, doesn't it? Here's another bit of advice. When you're putting your ignition on, your clocks on, it's easier to take the top yoke off, because then you'll realise that the reason why you haven't been able to get these bolts in from underneath is because you never removed the masking from the holes like a dick. So there's another top tip. But you'll just find it easier, take it off, put your clocks on, put your ignition on, flip it over, and it slides over the top yokes, okay? But yeah. So I've got the clocks on, the headlight on, still got the wiring to sort out in the back of the headlight, and the wiring up here to sort out as well. I just threw the bodywork on just to see what it looks like. It's looking mental, I love it. So the next job is the engine mounts, which I said I was going to do earlier and I still haven't. I plugged the back of these tubes with the rubber bungs that I got. Looks a lot better, just finishes it off nicely, I've got indicators that come out of here, fill up this little gap on both sides, so an indicator there and there, obviously, number plate out the back. But yeah, it's looking good. You can see the metal flaking under the lights in here now. It's popping. It is popping. It's looking good. So, we're kind of getting there. I've still got a long way to go, obviously. But next is tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to do the engine mounts, get them all tightened up, get the casings on, check the sump, because I'm not sure if the oil pickup on this is off a slab side or off a Bandit. So I'm hoping somebody will be able to help me out with that, height-wise. Because I've got a Bandit sump to go on. I'll have to check the exhaust fits with the Bandit sump. If it doesn't fit with the Bandit sump, it looks like I'll be putting the slab side sump on. And I'll have to paint it, because I never painted it. And but yeah, it's taking shape. I'm quite happy with it. Back brake calipers to go on. I'll do that tonight at some point. It's just waiting for it. I've got the pads in and all the rest of it. It just needs to be put on. That and the torque arm, that needs to go on as well. But we're getting there. Progress. Look at that paint. Isn't that fucking awesome? Answers in a postcard marked, yes, you're right, it is absolutely fucking awesome. Cooler, what? Today's joyous entertainment. We've got an issue with the brake master cylinder. The issue being that it's absolutely solid. This plunger won't even move in there, so I'm presuming that this is all corroded inside. And it gets to that stage. I could clean it out, I guess, and hope that it won't corrode again, but chances are it probably will. So I pulled this in out the shed. It's an old gsxr 1100. Also looks like it's been living in the bottom of the sea, but at least the plunger moves. And I'll be able to use the brake light switch as well, hopefully. I'll give that a bash in the Bandit pegs anyway, but at least this one moves, so just take out this clevis pin here, the split pin, and then I've got the joyous task of trying to undo these. I better just check they're not rounded first, because no my luck they will be. But like I say, it's an old set of footrests anyway, so I shall give it a bash and see if I can get this undone. I'll probably end up using a load of heat on the aluminium to expand it, hopefully, and see if that'll crack them off. But that's today's entertainment. I can't understand why this is solid. I guess it's just neglect, I suppose. I don't know, but it's been sitting for years. But I didn't get it that long ago. I can't mind when I got it, to be honest, but still bloody annoying. That should push in and out there, but it's not even moving in the slightest. Great. I've just peeled back the rubber seal off the master cylinder. I mean, I'm no detective, but I think that might have something to do with it. I'll maybe take it to bits anyway, just for see how bad it is inside. See if I can get the piston out. But yeah, just neglect, I guess. Right, I've actually given up on this one as a lost cause because the banjo bolt at the top's at the side. Some of them you get at the top, and if you get them at the top, you can push the piston out from the top. But there's no way I'm going to get around the corner here to push this piston out, and it's undoubtedly corroded in place. The other one, I've taken off the switch. That's it sitting there. Keep everything together when you do it. I've also taken off the clevis pin at the bottom and the little washer, and that's the screw that holds this part on. That's the O-ring that goes with it, and it's looking quite promising because there is still actually some brake fluid in there, so that'll be good because it'll mean that it's been lubricated inside. So next up, I'll take this off. Look at the state of that, and then I'll get the heat gun out, or the blowtorch more likely, and I'll heat up this alloy and get these nuts cracked hopefully, and then I'll just have to clean this up and stick it on the Bandit. Be very careful of the rubber components if you're heating stuff, by the way. You don't want to be melting them. Okay, so either put a damp cloth around that end of the pin or something along those lines, and wish me luck in getting this out because it's been there since probably 1989. I need all the luck I can get. Anyway, that's today's entertainment. Remember the indicator brackets that I made? One of them's fucking disappeared. I've looked everywhere. And I mean, my extremely tidy workshop, I'm surprised I could lose anything in here. God knows where it is, but I've got enough alloy to make another one. Just a pain in the arse. It was sitting on top of this vise with the other one last week. So it's either transported itself into another dimension or Christ knows. It's not on the floor either. I've been down there having a rake. Stuff like this really does my nutting. Right, I'm not using the heat gun. I'm using Blowy McBlowtorch here. He's a kiddie to get bolts out. So what I'll do is I'll just heat it up, keeping away from the rubbers, etc. And you're heating the alloy, you're not heating the bolts. You're trying to heat the alloy. I'll turn it around and do the back as well, but I can't do it single-handedly, so I'll switch this off and I'll crack on. Right, this is the way of these things. Cheesehead bolts from Suzuki, circa 1989. I've rounded, so I'm drilling the heads off the buggers. Right, we're getting serious now. This bastard bolts aren't coming out, so I've centre punched the centres. I've got a 7mm drill in there. I'm just going straight for it. I'm not fucking about, stepping up sizes and all the rest of it. You have to make sure your centre punch is centred. And this is line level, or you'll end up wandering into the alloy and then it's totally fucked. And just go slowly, use a bit of oil, and you'll get through it. And then once I get through it, I'll just tap out the remaining threads, if there is any. And if I do happen to screw the threads, I'm just going to put a nut and bolt through it, fuck it. But I'm not buying another one, because I'm going to get the money for it. I'm back in the 600 today, so I've loosely thrown the bodywork together. I'm just wiring up indicators just now. I've got a bizarre combination, like these two that I got with the bike at the back. I only had 3 of them though, so I've ended up using these old Z ones for the front. Doesn't matter, but yeah, the wiring seems to be holding up, so that's a bonus. I just need to put some proper size connectors in it, because the connectors you get with these cheap shitty things, they're too small. That's why they buy tape all over them, I guess. Never mind. We'll get some connectors on there and then we'll get them plugged into the loom. Putting a clear coat on this as well today. Obviously I need to clear coat the mudguard that I've repainted. Fuel cap, mudguard. This is the booster stuff, the silver ones. So once that's dry, I'll flat it all back and then start masking. It's going to be lots of masking, but it'll look good when it's done, hopefully. So that's the painting side of it. Back onto this. I'm just going to stick the front fairing on now. I think that's all I need to do. Charge up the battery, press the button, put some petrol in it, sort out the fuel lines, and we're ready to rock, I think. Oh sorry, put the exhaust on, that would help. So I'll crack on with that. Right, we're getting there now. I bought one of these stainless bolt kits for the fairing, but it's missing bolts and stuff. That's, I think, pisses me off no end. So I've just got this bit to put in the top here. I need some clips down the side for it. And the mudguard, which is drying nicely. Let's go and have a look. It's quite a good finish in it there. Probably too good a finish for a punk paint job. And obviously the petrol fuel cap. So I'm quite happy with that as a finish. There's a couple of marks in this paint. I spilt some red on it again, and I used a bit of thinners to get it off. But you can't really see it as badly as the other one. You can just see a little bit down the bottom there. But like I say, it's not exactly a show finish anyway. So, but it's good enough for the girls' wee date. And the cap there's looking alright. I missed a bit of yellow in the bottom of this, just below where it says lift, because I had it flipped up like that when I was painting it. Never mind, I'll not worry about it. Just don't tell anybody. It'll be fine. So this exhaust to put on, but I'm going to finish the fairing first. I had to fanny about the horn and indicators and stuff like that. I've put the half decent indicators in the back. I'll put the Z indicators in the front. I've tried them on for size and checked that they work. So they do, that's a bonus. So I just need to tighten this lot up. I'm pretty sure this bolt here is wrong. To be honest, I think it should be bigger than that to cover it. But I'll get the screen on, get this bit of plastic shit, whatever it's meant to do, I don't know. But it doesn't look like it fits very easily, you know, so I'm sure that'll be a squeeze to get it in. And it's bloody freezing today, so I'm going in for a coffee. But yeah, it's taking shape though, it's taking shape. Oh, I like it. I know it's a bit, it's probably one of these things you either like or you hate, you know. I'm not bothered if anybody hates it, that's down to them, you know, but I fucking love it, if I'm honest, you know. I think it's looking real good, you know, real good, baby. And there's the old bag herself in the tank. Go and save the queen by horse. Glad she's gone. Get rid of the rest of them now. So I'll get this screen on, but I'm going for a coffee because my nose is running. I can't feel the end of my fingers. Right, I'm going to wrap this up here. I've still got the front mudguard to fit because obviously it's just been painted, and I think I'll take the wheel off to get the mudguard joined to the flipping cross plate, unless anybody knows different. I haven't put the exhaust on because the gasket underneath it's knackered and the centre stand needs a bolt. But I'm freezing my tits off, so I'm going inside. I've had enough for the day, to be honest. But it's getting there, you know. It's looking pretty good, I think. Let me know what you think yourself. And we'll see you for the next one. Hopefully it'll be finished by then. I'm going to take a Scotch pad to these headers just to clean them up a little bit. I did the tail can from the centrepiece back and it's come up quite nicely, so I'm hoping the rest will come up the same, but you know, the way of these things, it's not a very pleasant job. But I'll do that, maybe. I've got the grab rail to fit in the back. I'm waiting for longer bolts for it. What else do I need to do? Pick up that GIS screwdriver before I lose it. And put all that shit that's over there away and get the petrol cap on. It's also just been painted, so and I'll leave it inside to dry overnight before I stick it in place, because no, my luck will probably flipping take the paint off or something. But yeah, it's getting there. Indicators are fitted, working. Yahoo, he says. This bit here in the middle is a bit of a pain in the hole to get in. because the kit didn't include the right bolts for here. And if you look at the other side, it's quite far away from the hole. It looks like it needs to be pushed in, but I think what's happened is it's maybe been down at some point, and the part of the fairing frame for that side has been pushed in, so it needs to be pushed back out, heated up and pushed back out, I suspect. But that's a job for another day. Like I say, it's bloody freezing, so I'm calling it a day. Indicators in the back look quite nice. Probably the nicest, newest bit about the whole bike. However, I've got the chain to do as well. I've got a chain guard sitting there off my old Bandit 12, the Z with the Bandit engine in it, should I say. It had a cutout for twin shocks, but I'm just going to use it. I'm not bothered. I'll do fine for this thing. And then I've got the chain and sprockets to fit. I've got the back sprocket on. So I need to cut that chain off. Put the gearbox sprocket on. Centre stand bolt. Exhaust needs to get sorted. As you can see in there, that gasket's had it. And I need to put a bolt in centre stand. But anyway, I'm waffling on now. I'll call it a day at that. I'm going to put this paintwork, mudguard, and the boost of stuff inside because it's fucking freezing. And I'll catch you for the next one. Hopefully that's entertained you somewhat. When I come back for the next one, this should be finished completely. I'll have the grab rail on as well. When I get the bolts and... Oh yeah, I need to get the discs on. I'm waiting for calipers, I'm waiting for caliper bolts to arrive. The joys of eBay. So I'll call it a day there and I'll see you for the next one. Hopefully. Like and subscribe, motherfuckers! Quick walk round. Happy man. Nearly finished. Nearly finished. I gave the pipes a 5-minute wipe with a Scotch-Brite. They're looking better already, to be honest. I mean, they're nowhere near mint, but you know, if I get some WD-40 and a green Scotch in it, I think they'll tidy up. I'm not taking them off to do it, I can't be arsed. And like I say, the long-term plans to replace this engine. So that's it for this week. Same time next week, folks. See you on.